I'd like to call the meeting of the Silver City Planning and Zoning Commission to order. This is April 5th, 2011. And if you would all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Clements, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Clements. Here. Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Coast.
Here.
Commissioner Lundy.
Present.
Commissioner Peralta.
Here. And I note that Commissioner Seibel is not present, but we do have a quorum. I'd like to introduce our newest member to the commission, and his name is Roger Kirst. And thank you very much for joining us, Roger. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Well, I've lived in Silver City most of my life. I work in real estate and new construction, and want to see that the town continues to grow, and that all of our land use codes are followed. And I'm really happy to be joining the commission.
Well, welcome. We're happy to have you. Okay, the next order of business is the approval of the agenda. Does everybody have a copy of the agenda? Could you take a second to look at it and see if there are any changes or deletions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The agenda is approved. Since we didn't have any meeting in March, we will now move to the approval of the minutes for February 1st, our last meeting. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at those minutes? Does anybody have any comments, additions, deletions, changes? In that case, would somebody make a motion to approve the minutes?
Move we approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you. Second? I'll second. Thank you. All those in favor of approving the minutes for February 1st, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The minutes are approved. I see that we have no old business, and our next order of business is a public hearing entitled VA 1102. This is a request for a variance to allow 2 flag lots in a rural zone where only one is allowed. The property is located at the end of Mobile Drive in the town of Silver City, and the applicant is the town of Silver City. This commission will serve as the hearing board for this hearing, and I, as chairperson, will be the presiding officer. The case involves an application for variance. Have any members of this commission had any ex parte communication regarding this matter? Any discussions with any of the parties involved? Since there is no ex parte communication, we will move to the swearing in. Any person wishing to testify in this hearing must now come forward and be sworn in. Being sworn in does not obligate you to testify, but you will not be allowed to testify unless you are sworn in. So I would urge you to come forward if you have any thought that you might want to speak on this issue. Okay, will you all please repeat after me? I state your full name.
I, Luann Mitchell,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that all of the testimony I will give in this hearing
that all of the testimony I will give in this hearing
will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth,
will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth,
on penalty of perjury.
on penalty of perjury.
Thank you. Now, if you'll please wait and give your names to Luann, and she can get you recorded. Okay, this is an application for variance, and that is an exception to regulations affecting land use. And in cases of variance, the applicant has the burden of proof for all 7 findings. And I assume since the applicant is the town of Silver City, they are adequately informed and prepared to make their case. And the Planning and Zoning Commission will make the final decision in this matter. Peter, would you be making the case for the city?
I would be doing that, Madam. I do want to point out that I will also be helping Luann by operating the computer-generated image. There's some other images here, and we can fall back on that.
Very good.
And I do want to explain that this is a complicated project which involves some town property, but we're working on behalf of some people that wish to do a land division. And so technically the town is the applicant, but it is on behalf of another party.
Okay, very good. I think we're flexible enough to allow you to wear 2 hats tonight, so please proceed. Could you begin by telling us all what a flag lot is?
Yes, I can read the definition from the land use code. I hope it's in here. No, it's not. But a flag lot is it's a division of, or a drawing, or whatever you want to call it, of a property that instead of being square or rectangular or whatever, has a narrow opening at the street entrance, and then goes narrow, and then comes out into the main part of the property. And it's usually because the only way to get access to a dedicated road, which is required for splitting property, that's the only way to do it. So it's not, it requires a variance to be done.
Very good. Mr. Russell, would you proceed, please?
No, she's going to make the staff report. I was just
Oh, okay.
stand by
Very
in
good.
case you needed more explanation.
Esperanza Hills LLC, or Bruce McKinney, owns 0.019 acre lot at the end of Mobile Drive. This small parcel connects to a .428 acre lot owned by the town of Silver City. On the north boundary of the town's lot is approximately 39 acres, also owned by Esperanza Hills LLC. Mr. McKinney wishes to purchase the town's .428 acre parcel and sell half of it, along with a sizable portion of his 39 acre parcel, to San Vicente Farms LLC, Kurt Albersart. According to the Land Use and Zoning Code of 2010, in order to legally divide property, all resulting parcels must have direct access to a dedicated road. In a rural zone, the regularly required width of access is 150 feet, according to Table 3.4.2. Flag lots of a minimum of 20 feet in width are allowed in rural zones, but only one is permitted in subdivisions of less than 4 lots. Section 3.4.3a. The only way to accomplish the configuration and property sale Mr. McKinney wishes to complete is by forming 2 flag lots, each 27 feet wide, at the end of Mobile Drive, thus the need for the variance. Included in the sale of town property to Esperanza Hills LLC would be a general ingress-egress easement to allow city vehicles access to sewer pipes and adjacent town property. After departmental review of the application, the Utilities, Fire, Police, Public Works, and Code Enforcement Departments, Floodplain Manager, and Meter Supervisor had no comments, seeing no problems with the proposed variance. The applicant contacted 4 property owners in the surrounding neighborhood by letter, and as of the date of this staff report, had received only 1 response. Rosa Hubble of Mobile Drive called because she was unfamiliar with the term flag lot. After it was explained to her, her only comment on the plan was that she hoped the area was not going to be filled with single-unit mobile homes. She had no objection to the formation of the 2 flag lots. Since I wrote this, Sophia Lonergan also called questioning the meaning of flag lot. She had no objections, and Mrs. Hubble did come into the office. She was concerned about what will be done with the property. I don't believe she expressed any problem with the flag lots themselves, but she's concerned about what's going to happen.
Excuse me, ma'am. You will be given an opportunity to present, but first we need to hear the presentation from the town.
The Planning and Zoning Commission will apply and make relevant the following findings to the request at hand. The hardship of which the applicant complains is one that is unique to the applicant rather than one suffered by the neighbors or the general public. The hardship relates to the applicant's land or property. The hardship was not created by the deliberate action of the applicant or by one under his control, and reasonable remedies are not presently available. The granting of the variance is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan. The granting of the variance is in harmony with the purposes and intent of the Land Use Code. The granting of the variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood surrounding the property where the variance is proposed and otherwise is not detrimental to the public welfare. The variance will not result in the extension, expansion, or enlargement of a non-conforming structure in violation of Article 7 and will not authorize the initiation of a non-conforming use of land. The Community Development Department recommends approval of this variance request, and no conditions are recommended.
Thank you. Just so everyone's clear, we have a specific order of business that we have to go through in one of these public hearings. And first we have the staff report, the synopsis of the application. Then we're going to have some questions of the staff by the commission. Then we'll have the applicant's testimony and applicant witnesses, and then questions by the commission. And then once the applicant's case is concluded, witnesses for the opposition may testify. So I hope that helps clear up the order of business. So do any commissioners have any questions for staff at this time?
I do. The general ingress and egress easement for city vehicles, would that be the same width as the flag? 27 feet?
Both flags.
That's what I'm saying. It
Yes,
would be 20.
as
It
the
would
two of
be
them together.
54 feet.
Correct.
Historically, has there ever been a problem with the maintenance of access involving 2 owners of the same access road in possible dispute of maintenance situations for the road, whereby our vehicles could not gain access because they were in dispute about who was going to maintain the constructed access?
None that I am aware of, and the Utilities Department, who would be the main department using the access or the easement, had no objections.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. I note here that some of the property is inside the town limits and some is outside the town limits.
Correct.
I'm trying to look at my map and figure out which part is outside the town limits, and then on the after, which parts will be affected by the out-of-town limits.
Commissioner, this line here essentially is the town limit line.
Okay.
This is in the town limits. This is different.
Okay.
And the egress area, the flag part of it, is that all in the county or?
It's all in the county.
So, could you clarify for me how we're able to rule on this when the land is in the county?
That's proposed is going to include parts of the original parcel that are also in the town.
And there is not likely to be any objection from the county that we're...
The county doesn't have the frontage requirement.
Okay.
We've actually taken this plan to Dory Dominguez, who administers this in the county, and she did have a concern about an original proposal that involved a merger that I don't believe is part of this project anymore. But what's in question specifically is the ability of the flag lots on this small parcel that Mr. McKinney hopes to purchase from the town. And the failure of the variance will mean the failure of purchase and the failure of the land fusion, as I understand it.
However, the success of the variance won't mean the success of the purchase. It's just, so in other words, if we do the variance, the purchase may not happen, and then we would still have
No, I
it
think
divided.
the purchase will happen. My understanding, and we can ask Mr. McKinney, but the town has drafted a contract for the sale of the land. There's actually 2 sales involved. And my understanding is that the contract has been reviewed by both parties and is satisfactory at this moment. Is that correct?
Sort of. This part of the contract is not.
Well, I think there may be other questions, but we ought to give the applicant an opportunity to present his case, and we'll hold the questions until after that's concluded. Please come forward.
Well, I will be the applicant because I'm the town.
Oh, okay.
The town is actually the applicant.
And you're going to be a witness for the applicant?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm just a witness. And I don't really have that much to say except to give a little more background on this, which I have 2 maps here, and one is exactly the same as the one. Well, it's not exactly, but it's for this purpose it's the same. But this is a aerial view of the land. And
Excuse me, but could you please introduce yourself for those people in our viewing audience and audience who may not know you?
The town's presentation,
I
and then we'll have Mr. McKinney.
I think that would be best.
But if I may use your exhibit, that's...
sure. I thought you were done with your.
No.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So, I'm Peter Russell, I'm the planning director, but I'm representing the town in this instance. And what we have is a approximately 39-acre parcel that was originally part of a larger farm called the Slough Farm. And sometime in the 90s, the town bought part of the Slough Farm that's to the south. And they purchased it in order to excavate the soil for capping the landfill. They declined to purchase this piece right here. They had an option on it, but they declined to exercise the option. Mr. McKinney purchased this parcel. There was an error, in my opinion, made when the town purchased this. As the farm originally was shaped, it had frontage on Mobile Drive. When this was severed from it, this part still had frontage. This no longer had frontage. The purchasers and the sellers tried to remediate that by, there's this little crescent-shaped piece that Mr. Slough held on to, and they provided an easement between those 2 pieces. That would be satisfactory in terms of a county transaction. It is not satisfactory for a city transaction. This parcel is evenly divided between the city up here and the county down here. So I think that this was something that happened that's fairly unique. There are very few landlocked parcels in town. And this is a landlock created by the town's own action. I think that certainly it is tied to the land itself. the property, and that Mr. McKinney had nothing to do with, creating this hardship. Mr. McKinney wants to convey some property to the town for the trails and open space, and that's a piece over here. And this can be accomplished by a boundary adjustment. This piece can just be merged with the larger piece down here. That doesn't require any other official transaction other than an administrative review and filing a plat with the county, etc. Mr. McKinney also wishes to sell a piece to Mr. Albershard, who wishes to have a farm there. We have one. He has a farm there. The problem is, this is a landlocked parcel, so we would not allow the creation of a new parcel that did not have a frontage. So the solution is to link the little piece here and the piece there with this town property, convey the property to Mr. McKinney. This actually improves the situation that exists. It provides frontage for a parcel that does not have frontage. So it's certainly consistent with the town's comprehensive plan, and it's harmonious with the land use code. The historical uses have been, there's a residence here, which I believe is now a school. There's a farm. There's really substantially very little change in what the historical uses are. This can only be 2 parcels because of the limitation of the flag lots. So this could not be developed into, say, a subdivision or something else, because there's not the capacity to provide more access. Unless this were to somehow be conveyed to the county and turned into a county road, and then, some new road development go in. But that would require a series of public hearings, and that's not what's in question today. And then finally, the uses that are proposed are uses that are approved for the rural zone that's up here. Remember, this part has no zoning whatsoever. So we feel that the town is interested in acquiring that parcel for the trails. The town is interested in seeing a farm succeed in the area. The town is interested in seeing a parcel that does not have any formal access onto the street receive that access. And so that's why we have applied to allow the variance on this property. The variance specifically is that you can have no more than 20% of the lots in a parcel can have a flag access, meaning the long, skinny pole. In this case, there's just 2 parcels, and they would both have the flag lot. That's what the variance is for. I'd be happy to answer any questions you want to have.
Yes, I have a question. The property that's to be ceded to the town to create the trails
Yes.
expansion, is that a condition of the sale of the property that you're conveying to Mr.
No.
McKinney?
No, but it's, I think both parties desire.
Yes. Commissioner Pearl?
Just a couple of questions. The land use code no longer has the little red lines that shows what sections have been changed. I assume this one's the same as it always has
The
been.
thing that has changed is that for rural parcels, the frontage is larger. What we did in the land use code is that we required the parcels to be a minimum of 2 acres before they could be 3/4 of an acre. With that increase in the rural parcel size, went an increase in the frontage requirement. And that is because the rural category is a holding category for future uses. In this case, each of these parcels is larger than, 15 acres?
The farm parcel is about 16.
Anyway, it's much larger than 2 acres.
16 and 18.
Okay, and I'm sure that it is, but the part that's going to be merged with more town property somewhere has frontage, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's not going to be
The
merged
golf
with
course.
another line.
Right. No, no, right. Yes, sir.
What is that the pedestrian easement, that long arm there?
On the north,
No, it's running, it would be running north and south?
this
Yes.
parcel will own like that, because that parcel contains the creek, and the town does not at this time wish to purchase that creek. It has an option to purchase it in the future, but it does not wish to purchase it at this time.
Is that where the creek is?
Yes, sir. You can see it.
On the zoning map that you have here, that you have circled, you're talking about rural, but here it shows commercial. Is the section that we're talking about tonight commercial or rural, that little section that we're doing?
It's right here.
So it's actually rural.
Yes, it's not the red.
Okay.
It's just, that shows the general vicinity. There is some commercial along Highway 90, but that's substantially to the west.
All of Mobile Drive shows commercial here, right?
Mobile Drive is mostly outside the city limits, just the very top end is commercial.
Is the access to these two parcels and the maintenance of that access not under the purview of what we do?
The frontage is under the purview of what you do in terms of the allowance, the variance for the two flag lots. But the standard actually is in the county. And so whatever standards the county has in terms of managing or maintaining it would be their call.
May we assume that both Bruce McKinney and Kurt Abelshart are in agreement in support of this?
They're here as
I guess we'll hear from them.
in support of the transaction.
Any further questions for staff or for the applicant? Thank you, Mr. Russell. Now, Mr. McKinney, would you like to come up and introduce yourself and proceed with your testimony?
I'm Bruce McKinney, and I'm the current owner of this property. And I agree completely with what Peter just said. And but I'm just gonna point out a few little additional details. And so this is the part that the town owns right down here. You can see, I don't know how well you can see this. So this is the end of Mobile Drive. It's a cul-de-sac. And so you come in here, and this is the little, I own this tiny little piece right here, and I agree completely with Peter's statement that this was a mistake. This should have been included with the original, and it's caused a lot of problem for me. And then what actually happens here, if you look at this view, you see this road that goes like this, and that has been plowed up and reseeded, and the road actually goes like this, and it's going actually right along this boundary, so that Kurt and I, this is Kurt Albersart, Kurt and I will share that road.
We each have enough to get by if we don't agree with the other.
Right. So if we, probably not us, but some future owner, if I sold my part or he sold his part, I think that's a valid concern that actually you could have two roads parallel to each other but I think that we won't really have that problem. But I guess what I wanted to make the point is that we actually divide before we get, this is the county definition, and so Kurt gets to his portion out here in the county, and I get to my portion out here. This division is in the county. That's probably not relevant for the rules, but it's kind of relevant in terms of the practical use of the property. Now, just to answer some of your concerns, what we're having here right now, the Meadowhawk School is right here in this building. We don't know if it'll be there next year, and so they're coming in down here and coming in, and they have a few students. This is a very small school, and so they park here, and then this goes out to the farm, which is all. This is a nice strip of bottom land, and Kurt has, even though we haven't completed the sale, we've been working on this for 2 years, trying to get all these details together. But Kurt has started planning this area. There's an orchard area in here, and then he's growing various crops there on a fairly small scale, but we can speak for what his plans are. But the idea is to have a farm over on this side, and then on this side is still my property. And so as far as you're concerned, it won't be a trailer park or a subdivision. They will be people. There are a couple of trailers here, and these are people that are working with Kurt on the farm right now. And that's in the county, and so, there's no plan to develop this into a subdivision or anything. But you do see more traffic there than you have in the past, and that's associated with the school and with the workers on the farm.
And also the negative across the
Excuse me, ma'am, you have to wait. Your turn will come. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but by the rules of the commission, you have to wait your turn. You will have an opportunity to present your case in full. Thank you. Mr. Aldershot, would you like to come up and introduce yourself?
Good evening. My name is Kurt Albershart, and my wife and I are the proprietors of a little operation called San Vicente Farms, which is in the process of growing vegetables and providing some employment off of this piece of bottom land that was covered with junk for the last 40 or 50 years. I don't know. As Bruce mentioned, we've been engaged in a roughly 2-year process of trying to figure out how to split this land up, and there have been a lot of complexities due to the multi-jurisdictional issues, due to historic uses of the land, and we think we've resolved all of those issues to the satisfaction of all the parties, and we would like to continue to make this happen and have a legal deal so that I could get title to the land and then start, they're making improvements, that there are things like fencing and other fairly expensive improvements that I'm not quite comfortable making until we have title, or at least a contract for title to the land. And we have a full-time employee down there. She's a 30-year-old woman with a degree in botany and a organic inspector certificate, and I'm paying her 40 hours a week to work down there, supervise that project, hire and train other people, and we're going to be lucky if we make 3 months of her salary this year if we sell everything we produce. And I'm willing to do that for a few years. But we think this is a good thing for the neighborhood. Right now you have a fifth wheel down there and a couple of volunteer helpers who are living in their RVs. Just to keep the record straight here, there are 4 RV spaces on this land that were permitted and installed that have gas, sewer, water, electric, and the former owner, Mr. Slout, and his heirs were renting out spaces, and there were single-wide trailers down there. Bruce and I are both fans of a different style of housing, and we would like to see that happen. When we get done, there will be 3 or 4 little cottages down there for our farm manager, probably one for my mother or my father, whichever one lives longest, and that we think that'd be a pretty good thing to have down there. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions before Mr. Aldershot concludes? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, at long last, it's the opportunity for people who would like to testify in opposition to this variance. So if you would like to come forward to the microphone, please, and introduce yourself with your name and address.
I'm Mrs. Hubble, and I live on 735 Mobile Drive, and I have a property next to this. What is your name? I forgot.
Bruce McKinney.
McKinney, Mr. McKinney. I didn't know he had bought that property right there. And I was wondering, my concern is that I was afraid that there would be a lot of traffic down there, a lot of people back and forth all the time, and there is already. It's not as bad right now, but there is. And also, that was my main concern. And also, there's a water truck that keeps coming down the road a lot. And it's not my road, but it's wearing out the road, and it's a lot of weight on it. But that's what my concern was, and I didn't want a lot of people right there where I'm at. You know where I'm at, don't you? You know my place down there.
Could you indicate where your house is on the map?
It's on this side of the property. I don't know my directions.
She's on the north side.
Let me see.
It would be right here.
Yeah, I'm the first house at the bottom of here. If you come down the drive on the cul-de-sac, this is my place right here.
Okay.
Right here, all the way up to here, right there. My brother has a mobile home right there next to me. And that was my main concern, because I didn't know what was going on. Nobody ever contacted me about anything till I got this letter from the city, from, I forgot her name too.
Can I respond to the one concern now?
Sure.
The water truck belongs to the principal or the director of the school, and it's just his second job. Then he delivers, and sometimes he drives that truck down there, and we don't. I don't know why I think he's just, some days he drives his truck to work, and I don't know if we talk to him. Maybe I didn't.
See, I'm sorry, but there's a lot of people that live on that ridge, you know, all those mobile homes, people that live down there. And they've been telling me off and on also that there's a lot of traffic on that road, and then the water truck. That's what they told me.
Yeah.
The water truck.
There is a water truck. It's not a semi.
Well, it's not that big, but if it's full of water, it's very heavy.
Yeah, it's full very often. It's expensive to hold water.
Yeah.
But
Excuse me, I'm a little confused. What's by the statement that there's a lot of traffic? It doesn't sound like either of those proproperties are
There's a lot of traffic that comes and turns around every
would generate.
day. And at night, during the day, every day, even at night. There's a lot. I don't know what they're doing down there, but they come and turn around.
I can speak to some of the traffic that I'm just as concerned as she is about some of the traffic. We've had burglaries down there.
Yes.
We've had a lot of people using methamphetamines that go down there. We've had serious problems down there, and we've had to start locking the gate. There's a gate right in here, and we lock that gate at night because we have had we're all very concerned, and I don't know what to do about it.
Well, that's the problem too. Yes, there is. And when they had a gate right there in front, on the cul-de-sac, as you go down, they had a gate there and they broke it. They ran into it with cars and trucks, and then they broke the other one that goes down to your other
It was
place.
my gate, and I know exactly what they did, and I put up a bigger gate that if they break this one, their car is going to be broken instead of the gate. But but the original gate was smashed by criminals.
Are there any questions for the witness?
I'd like to ask, that part of Mobile Drive, it's my understanding, is a county-maintained road from where the city property ends at the commercial zoning, is that correct? And that these
Hardly ever.
residences are in the county?
It's in the county, the road is, yeah.
And there are multiple residences on that road? A lot?
Not that, yes. There are a few, yes.
I would estimate maybe 50, maybe 25 on each side, or something like that.
Yes.
Is it paved or is it gravel or dirt?
It's paved.
Paved?
Mobile is paved.
It was finally paid.
both
It wasn't for a long, long time. I know because I lived down there. I've been there over 30 years.
But it is a public access road.
Yes, it is now. It wasn't at one time, but it is now. So anyway, that's what my concern is, because there's a lot of traffic on that road, and I was wondering what Mr. McKinney was going to do with that property. Because I don't want a bunch of... We already have a lot of mobile homes, and they're pretty shitty down there, some of them, you know. Pardon my expression, but that's true. You know, and a lot of people that don't belong are down there.
We're concerned about that, and we called the police. There is a problem of part of our properties in the city.
Yeah, when we call to report a problem, the dispatchers frequently can't figure out who to call because the access is through the county. But we had guys in ATVs down there one night, and they were technically on city property. And so you get basically what happens is
It's a
nobody figures out what to do,
jurisdictional
so they don't
issue.
do anything.
It's the sheriff's department that's supposed to be down there, because it's county.
Okay.
The sheriff is the one.
Excuse me, I think we need to limit the discussion to issues that relate to this variance, because although the concerns about traffic and crime in the area are certainly a concern to people who live there, it's not an issue that really relates to the specific variance that's before us.
But I'd
Do
like
any
to
other
add-
commissioners have any?
I'd just like to
Comments?
add that I feel that the concerned resident should definitely contact the departments that
I agree.
that are in charge of that area, especially the sheriff's department. They need to know that there is an issue that's affecting the residences in that area. But unfortunately, we're taking care of a different issue at hand here.
It would also seem to me that as development continues to occur, as the farm gets more established and other residents are there, that those folks who are using it for other purposes are going to go somewhere less populated. I'm sure you hope so. Okay. Is there anything else that needs to be added to the record for this hearing? Is the hearing board ready to consider this application?
I would like to make a motion. Is it appropriate?
Yes, please do.
I move that we approve variance 11-2, a request for a variance to allow 2 flag lots on a parcel of land where only one is allowed, with all 7 findings. Should I read them all?
Since they were referred to in the testimony by the applicant, I don't think we need to do that. They will be in the written record of the hearing. Is there a second to the motion?
I second that.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
I have a couple points to make.
Yes, please.
I'm definitely not super familiar with this case, but I do know that it is something that you've been trying to work on for a while, and it is quite complicated. So I'm glad to see some kind of solution to all of that. I think that the purpose of this limitation on the amount of flag lots is to make sure that there aren't subdivisions going in or divisions being made with substandard access to frontage. And in this case, it certainly seems that it is clear that this is actually improving landlocked parcels that were created mistakenly. So it is good to see that be improved. And it seems like it works that they're next to each other, because if there ever is a dedicated road that goes in there, it seems like there's plenty of room to have a developed road go in there. So I think it actually works, and I don't see any reason that we shouldn't approve that.
I would like to add that I think the most compelling reason for approving this variance is that it's correcting an error that was made by the town itself, and it's only right that we should go that extra yard to rectify that error. Also, this seems to me, although it's not part of the variance, that this enables a deal that benefits the community in a lot of ways. Certainly, the town will benefit from the cedence of land to enlarge the trail system in the community. It's a wonderful thing to have a farm, a working farm in progress in part of our community that's producing locally grown foods. That's terrific. I wish them well. And it seems to me like this is a good idea. Any further comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Do we need a roll call vote on that?
We can do it if you'd like.
Well, I think so. There's no dissent. I think it would be all right to just do it like that. Okay, now, since we have no old business on the agenda for this evening, we come to an exciting part of our agenda that is actually a new feature. As part of our responsibility as Planning and Zoning Commission, we can study issues of interest to the community and its development, and we have decided to institute a regular feature of our meetings where we're going to discuss important issues and allow the community to participate. So I hope you will all stick around for this discussion, because we have with us tonight members of the Mayor's Climate Change Committee. And if you would please come forward and introduce yourselves and let us hear from you.
Kirk can leave. He already knows all this stuff. So. Hi, my name is Mary Stecker, and I'm
Allison Civic.
And we are both members of the, we have a very long name, so we just call ourselves the Climate Committee. And we were asked to come and just give you all a little bit of an update on what we've been doing with the Climate Committee the past 8, 9, 10, 3 years and almost a half now, because we did begin in January of 2008 with essentially a mission of helping the town to become more energy efficient, but also reducing the greenhouse gas emissions that the town was a part of producing just through daily activities of the town. We also expanded that into not just the town in terms of municipal buildings, but also our community of Silver City. So you all do have a copy of a quick summary that we actually put together a couple of months ago, because we've been trying to get here to speak with you all now for a few months. So it may be a little out of date. I tried to give it a quick refresher today, but I can't say that I caught everything, so I do apologize if we missed anything. I just wanted to touch on a couple of pieces. I guess I'll put this down here. I need to take off my glasses to read, I guess. I'm in the wrong spot. There we go. I would like to touch on just a couple of pieces of this and highlight a few of the actions that have been happening around the 13 recommendations that were in the original Town of Silver City Climate Action Plan. We did pass that plan in January of 2009 after 1 year of working on it. And we've been working on activating that plan ever since. We did do one update already to the Town of Silver City. We updated them in 2010 about what had gone on during 2009, and we're currently in process of putting together another update for the Town of Silver City related to what went on throughout 2010 and we always seem to be a few months behind. But, through all of this, we've built a lot of partnerships. We've talked to a lot of people. We have a lot of folks come to our meetings, and I think we're even now strengthening partnerships, not just within the town and within the county, but actually within the region, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. So we had 13 recommendations. The first recommendation had to do with creating an Office of Sustainability. That was key. If we didn't have that office created, it was going to be awfully hard to implement the rest of the plan, to tell you the truth, because as are you, we are all volunteer bodies that have other jobs and other lives. So it was really great that we were able to get a federal grant to get that office created, and it's been going gung-ho ever since. Nick Cicillo may have spoken with you before. He is a director of that office, and he works under Peter and his other staff. So that was established just a little over a year ago, or maybe right around a year ago.
Could you tell us what the duties of that office are?
Well, there were several deliverables that were specifically mentioned in the grant that was written for a year and a half ago, about now, and some of those deliverables related to what we call a neighborhood blitz. It's essentially a home weatherization sort of program where staff go into homes and help them to do real basic weatherization techniques or energy efficiency techniques. They could be replacing light bulbs. They could be putting up a clothesline. They could be doing weather stripping, et cetera. So the Office of Sustainability is doing that, and we originally were charged with, I believe, I want to say 400 and some odd homes within the county. It went down to around 350. Anyway, the number has changed dependent on timelines and the amount of funding that we received. Allison works with GRIP here in town, and they also, as an adjunct to this, they received funding to do the same thing in Luna and Hidalgo counties. So we've really been able to get a huge bang for the very minimum buck of basic weatherization. And that also includes 2 levels of referral to the town of Silver City for certain levels of rehab needed on some homes, and to the Community Action Agency for other in a little more intense levels of energy efficiency and weatherization efforts on the homes, so and rehabs. And that's just one of the things that they do. They're also working on what began as our recommendation number 2, and it was sort of this, we didn't know what it was, we just thought we needed to do some kind of a big, large solar installation in Silver City, and it's turned into a tremendously strong effort at getting, I hope we're still on track for fall of 2011, a solar installation that will power the wastewater treatment facility here in town, as well as, I may be using incorrect lingo, but the booster stations for the water in the town of Silver City. Nick has also been working again regionally and within Grant County. He's now assisting Deming, he's assisting Silver Schools and other entities to get them involved in the same sort of power purchase agreement that allowed the town to be able to do this, and he's also working with the county. This office, by the way, is a joint Office of Sustainability. It's town of Silver City and Grant County. So that's another thing that he's working on, and there are other efforts. One that also started as one of our recommendations has to do with a solar-covered parking structure here in town. We were delayed getting that started, but it is finally on its way, and that will be completed by the end of this June and located on the north end of the parking lot at the Visitor Center. So it'll be a showcase, very visible to folks. It'll be usable, obviously. It will fund some of the provide some of the electricity for the visitor center, and we hope be an educational installation also. And there's a lot of ideas as to how that will be. There's been a lot of, one of our recommendations, I don't want to go over all of these, but one of the recommendations had to do with education within the community, and there's been a lot of efforts related to that. I did try to update that a little bit for this year. Again, GRIP and the Aldo Leopold High School found funding and have put together a curriculum that is training students at Aldo Leopold in many of the philosophies, concepts, and actually, I think, related to training and work, careers, in just basic issues around energy efficiency, sustainability, conservation, et cetera. So that curriculum, I believe, is already up and running, correct?
The class is being piloted right now. This semester will be done in May, and then we'll be disseminating the curriculum around the state in June.
And that curriculum is intended, to go around the state. They're really hoping that we're piloting it here and that it will become statewide. So So that's one of the, there's also education pieces that come with those neighborhood blitzes, with those visits to folks in the homes, and there are many other education efforts going on that you can read about here on your sheet. Again, the CFL distribution project, which was one of our recommendations, we're right now covering that through, again, the home neighborhood blitzes, the weatherization projects. And Allison, did we have extra CFLs that we're passing out in other ways, or is it mostly through the weatherization?
Yeah, that program is over right now.
Okay.
The Office of Sustainability, GRIP, others collaborating with PNM to distribute CFLs around the community. That program has ended. It might, I believe, start up again. It's dependent upon PNM.
One of the recommendations related specifically to the Silver City Inner Loop Walk that our bicycle and walking advocacy groups within the town of Silver City had been really pushing for. But beyond that, and not a whole lot has happened specifically on that loop, but there's been adjunct things that have gone on. The town was able to get funding to reposition a bridge near Jose Barrios to cross that ditch and come out near the old Waterworks building, which ties into Swan Street, not Swan, is that Swan Street? No, Little Walnut Road, and which is where the beginning of that loop is. There's been the work, as you just heard, related to the San Vicente Farms and Mr. McKinney in the town. There's been work on the San Vicente Trail and extensions of that trail. So there's been a lot going on around usability of, I should say multimodal usability within the town of Silver City. Lots of other things going on. I would like to highlight, I think, the fact that we've spent a lot of time in the last year and a half really working regionally, expanding just beyond town of Silver City. We're working with a 4-county, and we're all participating, not all of us, but many of us, with a 4-county task force initiated by Senator Bingham's staff out of the Las Cruces office, but working specifically with our 4-county region around job creation and energy efficiency. Along with that, there's another 4-county, sort of dovetailing, another 4-county effort with the acronym SET. And that acronym, don't ask me, do you know what SET is? It has to do with economic development, and it's focused on, again, really teaching the 4-county region, any region, but teaching a region to work collaboratively on economic development. And so those of us coming from a certain philosophy are hoping that sustainable philosophy will be integrated into that job creation and economic development in the area. So a lot of what we're doing is not just based here in Silver City with the Office of, as I call it, but also regionally, and the certainty that in order to progress in any of this, we really do need to be working together. And we have some nice precedent. Certainly our Correcaminos and the Regional Transit District is a beginning precedent of the counties working with each other. We need to be able to build on that around many, many areas of our life. So I think the last thing I wanted to touch on here is just some upcoming work. That the Town of Silver City Climate Committee is right now looking at proposing an addendum to the action plan to the Town of Silver City. And the addendum, while it's still in draft form, and I'll have Allison talk to it here in just a minute, has to do with the water conservation effort. And perhaps you all will have questions for us about that, or for Allison, I hope, because I'm not on that subgroup, or some comments on that.
You mean there's a committee you're not on, Mary?
I'm on the committee, I'm just not on the subgroup. So we'll let Allison answer that one. But we are working on a recommendation around water conservation. And then you can see at the bottom of the sheet just opportunities that perhaps the Climate Advisory Committee and the Planning and Zoning Committee might have in the future to collaborate. Some of them specifically relate to recommendations that were in the original plan, and others are things that are just coming up and that we're talking about and that may work for the future. So I'd like Allison maybe to talk briefly on the water conservation recommendation that we're drafting and discussing again tomorrow night at our meeting, and then if y'all have any questions, we're open.
Okay, well, stick around. We may have some for you. Let's hear from Allison.
Okay, thanks. So the water sector represents the single largest sector in cost in terms of our electricity usage. The town pays close to $800,000 a year to pump water as well as treat water at our wastewater treatment plant. So it's about 57% of the town's energy costs and about 64% of the town's greenhouse gas emissions. So just addressing the water sector really will help out not only reducing our energy costs but also our greenhouse gas emissions. So We're addressing some of that with improving the energy efficiency of our water pumps, as well putting solar panels at the wells, the well fields, the pumps, as well as the wastewater treatment plant. But water conservation is a huge potential, and that's something we didn't really address in the first go-round of the Climate Action Plan that we're talking about right now in the committee. We'll be talking about it tomorrow night. And what we really want to do is come up with a strategic plan to really look at some of the issues associated with water conservation and some of the things that we're already doing, some of the areas which are the most cost effective to get us the biggest bang for the buck in terms of reducing water use at the lowest cost. So we'll be talking about that, but we really think that sort of the first step is for the Office of Sustainability to come up with a strategic plan and just look at all the different options on the table. So that's what we'll be talking about tomorrow night. And we, if you all have ideas on water conservation, we're not sure yet. A water conservation ordinance maybe at some point might be something that we pursue, but again, that's something that we still need to discuss and would be part of this kind of strategic plan feasibility kind of assessment. So I don't know if you have any questions on that or any thoughts about water conservation ordinance.
Well, I do have a question. Is your committee looking into what the prognosis is for the Silver City area in terms of water security as the climate warms? How secure is our water supply? I know there are parts of the West that you could write off Phoenix and Tucson if we get into serious long-term drought.
Sure.
But what about us?
Well, that's something certainly we're concerned about on the committee. One of the other things that we're probably going to talk about tomorrow night is this idea of adaptation. How will our community adapt to climate change? Water, obviously, is a big area. How will we adapt to lower precipitation, lower recharge, that kind of thing? But there's a larger process going on, like a regional water planning process through the Grant County Water Commission, as well as the Arizona Water Settlements Act planning process. So there are lots of other entities that are actually talking about water security, how we're going to meet our future water supply in 50 years, and that's certainly something that our committee's concerned about and talking about.
I have several questions, although they're all interrelated, so I'll ask them all because it's kind of the same answers. Where and when, I notice you don't have on here where and when are meetings, so the folks who are listening can know where they could come in. Do you have a website that people can go to look at to gather more information? And if the citizens hear this and they have questions, who should they get in touch with and how? So.
We don't have a website. Our minutes are put up on the Town of Silver City's website, so folks are welcome to go there if they'd like to see minutes or agendas or anything about the meetings are on that website. We meet the first Wednesday of every month from 5 to 6:30, and we meet at the GRIP offices, which is, what is that, 505?
305.
305. I knew there was a 5 in there somewhere. 305. It's Cooper Street, and it's just at the corner of Market and Cooper. They can essentially contact me, I guess. I facilitate the meetings, and my name is Mary Stecker. And they can reach me at, I'm trying to think if I should give work or home. I guess my home. That would be 575-388-2641. And we actually have quite a few community folks show up every single meeting. We have pretty much a full room, and it's very casual. We, all comers are allowed to talk. Throughout the meeting. I keep the meeting in flow, but we allow folks to participate, whether they're officially members of the Climate Committee or not. So certainly, community members are always welcome, and quite a few show up, which is why I said Kurt could leave, because Kurt's frequently there. He knows what's going on. So. Was there another question? I'm sorry. Was there another one and we missed
I was
it?
going to say, is the agenda as well as the minutes on the town website?
Yes.
So people can know in advance what you're going to be
Yes.
talking about?
And we actually have, I think the way the website is organized, it says town committees, and you can just go, I think you all have your little portion of the website, so just look under Climate Committee, and our climate action plan's
The
there,
action
all
plan
the
will be
minutes,
on
the
there.
agendas, it's all there, actually. It's very good.
Great.
Do you have any tips for us as commissioners in reviewing the types of development requests that we get? I mean, sometimes they're little ones like this, and sometimes they're larger developments. I know that we try and be mindful of the type of concerns you have, and I'm sure staff is, but is there any kind of advice or tips that you can give us in doing our jobs better to be more mindful of that?
Well, if you take a peek at the recommendations that we have, there are a couple of recommendations. I don't know whether they relate to planning and zoning or not, but you can ask a guess. Obviously, when we get the recommendation about water, that'll definitely impact on you. If we come up with some sort of conversation around solar and solar rights, I think we've already been asked to come to this committee once about a year ago to discuss some of this. That may impact some of your decisions based on anything that may come out of that. But we also have recommendations that relate to building and to how people are building and to, are they building in an energy efficient manner? And I don't know whether those sorts of things come before planning and zoning or if they go somewhere else with Peter and his department. But those are not. That recommendation specifically in the action plan is not something we've done a whole lot with as yet, but they're there. So you could take a quick look at the action plan, I guess, and see if there's pieces of it that might cue you into some of your work. And Allison, did you?
Yeah, and the only other thing maybe is we have a recommendation related to trails.
The open space.
Right.
Yeah.
So to the extent that those sorts of things relate to developments or whatever else you might be approving, so the context in which sort of your P&Z decisions are made, being cognizant that there's a lot of work going into making our community walkable, bikeable, which I know you all know that. So, and we're supportive of that.
Well, I don't have it here. Oh, here it is, right here. And the recommendations, by the way, are very, very easy. They are 1 pages each, and each page has a recommendation, headline, a rationale, headline, a greenhouse gas emission reduction, because that was part of our mission, a cost benefit, and then an implementation plan. That's it. So it's 1 page per. So it's not real onerous to go to the plan and to, you can skip all the intro stuff if you want. And even with the intro stuff, it's only about 20 pages long. But 13 of those pages are the recommendations. And they're very easy to read. And we were really deliberate about that. So.
Thank you.
Well, what we can do is conduct studies and make recommendations to the town council, who would be the ones in charge of passing ordinances regarding building codes and things like that. That would be beyond our purview. But we certainly recommend things to them if we did our own study and generated something like that. But what we would really like to do with this process is engage the community in discussion about some of these important issues that are going to affect our lives. So we wanted to create an opportunity to do that. So do any of the members of our audience have any comments on what you've heard or any questions for our presenters? No?
I have a question on your recommendation 12, your plastics policy. Are you primarily focused there on recyclable plastics, like in plastic bottles, or are you also going to consider what I consider to be the scourge of the town dump, which is white plastic bags?
Yeah, those
it's
two.
a visual blight on our community.
When you read
Not
that,
the dump.
when you read that recommendation, I know what you mean. I seen them a lot lately too with the wind. When you read that recommendation, it's fairly focused on researching the options, because we really, at the time, we didn't have the time to get ourselves deep enough into what was going on nationwide. There is stuff happening nationwide around plastic policies, but there's a lot of it. A lot of it was already happening in urban centers, less so here. There were a lot of pros and cons that we were finding, and we decided that really the recommendation was kind of with our lighting plan was to say, let's get. We're recommending that the town get some kind of a little group that can look more tightly into this and figure it out. So it would include, certainly by our estimation, all of that you mentioned. But I have to tell you, once we got started on implementing this, and then once the Office of got opened, it's just been moving like a freight train, and coming back to the plastics policy, as you can see on this update, we just have not done anything with it. And I don't like having to say that, but I'm afraid it's the truth. So.
The truth is always good.
And your group has certainly
nothing's happened.
Accomplished a lot of other things that are very noteworthy, and you deserve our thanks and our commendation. Would you say that this is a problem that every individual has a stake in and should take action on? Isn't this one of those issues where every person can make a contribution and needs to? I
think what we found is that no matter where where we're coming from philosophically, we being the general we, philosophically, politically, whatever, if you only look at the bottom line savings to the dollar, then there's reason to come together on this, and there's reason for everyone to involve themselves. There are there's just a ton of reasons, and our reasons behind it may be different from any one of yours, but if the only thing we look at is the bottom line dollar, there's definitely reason for everyone in this community and in this 4-county region and broader to involve themselves in all the aspects of energy efficiency, conservation in all ways, especially water, living in the desert as we do. And yeah, it's a no-brainer. Did you have a question? Or okay, is that it?
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. We appreciate the invitation.
We'll have a chance to talk to you again in the future. Do we have any reports from staff today?
No, ma'am. I have one thing that after hearing this wonderful presentation, I would like someone or anyone or everyone to recommend our next community forum presenters. If you have ideas. Yes?
I think a subject matter that is in the minds of many people the last month would be to have somebody come in from either the State Forestry Department or the U.S. Forest Service to talk about the construction of defensible space around our homes.
Great, thank you.
That's a great idea. And could I suggest for the following session, we might go back to the issue of water conservation and find someone who could give us some practical tips on what we each can do to help in conserving the water resources we have in our region?
Thank you.
Another idea to keep things sort of in a flow would be, isn't there a walkability biking group? If they would be willing to come and present at some point, that just follows straight out of here.
Or trails and open space.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Any reports from the Commission? Any community input? We thank you all for coming tonight. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Meeting is adjourned.